Okay.
You count it, or
Yep, I think we should be live now.
okay, so we can
Final
start.
countdown. Sorry.
All right, so we're live.
Yes, sir.
All right, welcome everybody to the special called meeting of the Joint Development Authority, the Unified Government of Athens-Clarke County, Georgia, and the City of Winterville. This September 24th, starting at 5:32, according to my computer. I'd like to put for a motion to approve the agenda. Do I have a second? Get people's faces up here. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Oh, God. Okay. Sorry. I was looking at the agenda, not the faces. All right. We got a motion and second. Are there any comments about the agenda? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the agenda, get people's faces up your hand or say aye. Opposed? Second to that motion?
Second.
Oh, God. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I was looking at the agenda, not the faces. All right. The agenda has been approved. Motion and second. Are there any comments? I'm hearing myself echoed again. Did everybody hear that?
Maybe if everyone mutes.
Okay. I mean, I just heard it repeated, what I just said. Can everybody hear me in real time now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we've approved the agenda. Now to the approval of the minutes. I'd like to put forward the motion that we approve well, let's see if they have any. Yeah, I'll approve it as written or with corrections. Does anybody have any corrections to the minutes?
Second for approval.
Sorry, that's Kelly, right? All right, got a second for approval. Assume you've had a chance to read it. Anybody have any concerns about the minutes from our last meeting? And on new business, you know, we briefly discussed the nomination of a vice chair, but we decided since it wasn't on the agenda that it really wasn't a topic for discussion. I don't know whether we can just leave that there, I guess, but there was no action taken. So anything else that people see that needs to be changed? Not hearing any. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the last meeting, raise your hand or say aye. Okay, I saw the opposed. All right, motion passes unanimously. Now on to the meat of our discussion. Let's see. Go back to the agenda. Sorry. Okay, I wanted to make sure that we cover the problematic loans and grants that Stephanie brought up several days ago, and I forwarded another thing about our limited number of days of limited between 13 and 62. So, Ilka, can you bring up that email so we can see the items and discuss them one at a time? Do you have it?
I'm a little nervous about bringing up my email because I have a lot of folders with confidential project names on them.
Well, I mean,
maybe
I've got it. I've got it here, but
okay.
I don't have the ability to share. So.
Oh. Okay. Stephanie, are you able to share? Do you have that?
You're muted, Stephanie. Okay, it was from September 19th, I believe.
Are you listening to me now?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Yeah, this is it. Let me make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
You can all see it now?
Yeah, that's the most recent one. You had one on the 19th. We can talk about this one if we want to now. We have to anyway, but
yeah, I have the other ones too. You know, we had this. The great thing is our 13 to 62 day threshold was excellent because only 3 businesses went outside of that range. So that told me it was a good metric to use. But while we always talked about using this internally, we never put anywhere on the website about you're only eligible if you have less than 62 days of cash on hand, because it wasn't easy to define how we were calculating that. So since there were only 3 that had that issue, and they weren't excessive cash balances, it was like $25,000 or $30,000. I propose that we not punish those people because the bank feels pretty firmly that those people probably got PPP money, and that's why they have these balances. So if you all don't disagree, I would say that we just approve those 3 to prevent any challenges.
Well, the only concern I have is that we discussed it and came up with that as a part of our spreadsheet, and we said that they would be denied if they had more than 62 days. Even though we didn't publish it on the website, it's a matter of record that we discuss it. I don't know if we made a decision to stick with that. I'm concerned about somebody going back to our previous meeting and said, "Well, you guys discussed this and you agreed to 62 days."
Yes, the problem is that we didn't have a way to isolate people that received money that they shouldn't be disqualified for, as in this is transitory cash and not sustainable. It's not their sustainable cash balance. And we didn't ask the question about whether they got PPP to understand that. Dan, what do you think?
David's made a good point about the fact that it's a matter of record. I read, Stephanie, what you said about it, and it makes sense. You know, we have the money, so it's not like we're unable and we're having to pick and choose, and selecting somebody would disadvantage somebody else. And we have an explanation from the bank as to why the reality may be different than the numbers by themselves show. That would be, I think, a defensible explanation if we were to approve these. But it's for the board to decide.
Okay.
So I have a question. Is anybody flat out rejected because they have more than 62 days cash?
There would be these 3. They have loss. I mean, they meet the loss criteria. They just have more cash. And one of them is an attorney with no expenses, which is not true. They, of course, have expenses, but they're a partnership. So any money that pays themselves isn't shown as an expense. So their operating costs per day are super low, and they have $10,000, and it's like 300 days of cash. It just doesn't jive with me. Some of the financials.
I'm just thinking, to speak to David's point about it being a problem because it's a matter of record. If we don't have a whole bunch of people that we reject just because they have more than 62 days in cash, then I think making the exception for these 3 would be okay, as long as the 62 days cash is not a reason that we're rejecting other people. That's my 2 cents.
It's only these 3 that even had it, and they also had the loss. So there are some people that did not have a 25% loss, but that was one of the printed eligibility criteria. We just never printed this because it was hard to explain how it was calculated, because it had to be based on the financials we got.
Well, it sounds like if Dan says it's defensible based upon our discussion, I'm fine with approving the 3 that are over the 62-day limit.
Just to clarify, Mr. Chairman, just because you can defend something doesn't mean you'll always win. It just means you have a story. But, I'm not concerned. This isn't a jumping up and down issue. I mean, I think that if challenged, we have enough of a story, and we can deal with the challenge if it comes up. Well,
nobody's being denied here. The people are going to get denied who are going to, question the story,
right?
Not the people we approve. So,
right.
Given that, I feel that the risk is worth taking since we publicly have it ambiguous, we can approve these 3. That's my position. Does anybody feel otherwise?
Lawyers thrive on ambiguities. That allows you a lot of discretion. So that sounds good to me.
Okay. Well, I'd like to put forth a motion that we accept these 3 loans recipients that have exceeded the 62-day limit. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that, David.
Oh, well, Dodd put up his fingers. He beat you to it. All right, Dodd seconded it. Any other further discussion of these three loans? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the motion, raise your hand and or say yay. Can't see everybody, but that's okay. Anybody opposed? All right, the motion carries, so these three will be included as loan recipients.
Okay, there was this other one. There were two that met the loss criteria using bottom line net income instead of top line revenue. The two had significant loss if you look after expenses come out, because they were businesses that were sole proprietor, which means they still had to pay themselves. They could not pay themselves to keep the business open. So I used their net income. I didn't do that on anybody else, but I didn't need to because they met the criteria on top level revenue.
Do we explicitly state what we're looking for in terms of that 25% loss?
No, just evidence of 25% loss. So if we were to deny these two, they would say, look at my bottom line. I had 100% loss, which is true. So it would be hard to defend that because it's just interpretation of how to calculate that loss, and we were not specific. Nor do I want to be specific, even if we do another round. I like having the flexibility to make it work for people where things just aren't cut in black and white.
Okay, well, I'm fine with either criteria since it's not stated. Other sentiments? All right, I'm not sure we need to put forth a motion to approve these two, but
I don't think so, because it's still 25% loss. I mean, they still have it. It was just a different interpretation than I did on most people, all the other people.
all right, unless there's dissension amongst anybody else, we'll just go ahead and approve those two. All right, hearing none, so let's move on. So you had your email for from the 19th.
Okay. Hold on, it's up here. All right. So we did take substitute documents for the Department of Labor form because some businesses are partnerships. They don't pay themselves a salary. They're the only employees of the business. I made them submit their partnership agreement that reflected the names of the partners and made sure that the count aligned with their OTC tax. Let's see. In a case where a business had 4 to 6 employees, they were an LLP, but they only had 2 partners, I still required them to give me proof of their employees, and they did. Some people submitted 941s because they couldn't find their Department of Labor form, but a 941 asked for all the same information, so it was equal. And in a round, we would be more broad and allow them to submit multiple documents anyways, now learning what we learned in this round. Those I don't really think require us to do any voting. It's just informational for me to explain the kind of accommodations we had to make that we'll need to make sure we pre-accommodate in the next round. There were some documents that were missing for businesses because they did not know what an employee was. There's no definition provided on the business tax license, and they counted contractors as employees, but you don't have payroll for contractors. So what I did for them was gave them the $150 because they are truly a one-person business. They just have contractors. And I also told them that in future years, they should probably file as one employee businesses if all they use is contractors, and that would save them some money, and they were happy to know that. So that's all on the grants. They were fairly cut and dry besides the Department of Labor form.
Does anybody have any questions about that or concerns? Okay.
The only thing that I'd say is that, I just want to make sure that our finance department, has some conversations with OTC payers in the future to make sure that people do understand the difference between, a 99 contract labor and employee. Just, it's kind of raised a good point for us broadly.
And also that they should be counting full-time equivalent employees, not number of part-time and full-time employees. The document says it, but it'd be good to emphasize that if we're counseling people, that they should put down the number of full-time equivalent employees, and it shows a sample calculation on the form that they fill out. So
yeah. I provided Ilka a definition of employee that White County uses that I thought was really well written, and I think she's going to forward it on to finance to maybe add that definition in their application, which will clear up a lot of these problems.
okay.
I haven't visited it in a minute, but the IRS actually has a wealth of information that talks about situations where people are considered contractors versus employees and all of that good stuff. I mean, that information is readily available for absolutely free. At least it used to be. I haven't visited it lately because I already did. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I think they're triggered that there's some problems. I think Ilka is communicating with them on that.
Oh, the IRS, you mean?
No, the business tax license office.
Oh, okay. Like, oh, really?
No, the IRS is triggered about everything. Okay, loan. Okay. One big thing I'm wondering is, let me bring up the calculator. So this is the final approvals, and this is the loan screen. And you'll notice we have people score, which we didn't have to use because we didn't run out of loan money. We have the max loan that our calculator calculated based on the 13 to 62 day thing and their daily operating costs. We have the amount they requested. And so we were rounding up. So I said, okay, the calculated loan, we should give this person $4,700. They requested $12,500. We have enough money to give them $12,500. We could give them that. Or we could stick with this calculated loan. But again, our amount of loans that we give out, we said they would be based on what's advantageous to the JDA, and it wasn't all about a calculation. So what do y'all think about giving people what they asked for as long as they qualified and not sticking with like Bra, who is one of the bank's customers and they happen to know her situation? She asked for 10, but the minimum we give is 3,001, but her calculated amount was 1,590. But she could certainly use 10. What do y'all think about giving them what they asked for?
Let me interject something there. The fact that we limited amounts to a certain value and we only went above that with a showing of need that was convincing that the board considered to justify it would have deterred people from asking for more. So do we have somebody who asked for more without making the case?
Yeah. Well, see, this is a case where they didn't ask for more than the maximum. You're talking about people that asked for more than 12.5. And yes, we had Classic City Chef and Ground Guys. And those were two cases that I have an opinion on. But the only people that asked for more than the maximum. These other people didn't even ask for the maximum. They just asked for an amount, and the calculated amount we would give them would be less, like in this case. But I'm saying, why don't we give them what they asked for, since we don't have competition for the money? And we did that restriction so that we could spread the money around, thinking there would be more demand. So that's one issue I want y'all to think about while we continue this discussion. The two that asked for more money, I know that we can't give them more than $25,000 total, and these two that asked for $25,000 are also getting grants, so we couldn't even give them that if we wanted to.
For this discussion, could we move the business names to the edge where they're not visible on camera? That way we're not sort of sharing people's situations.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So one of these businesses, and I don't want to say which one's which, They're deeply in debt. They don't have the cash to cover their interest payments on their current debt. They asked for 12.5. The calculator said they could get at least 12.5. I'm not supportive of giving this person more than 12.5 because I frankly don't know that they're going to survive. The other one is doing very well. They asked for more than 12.5 and I propose that we give them 20. Their financials look strong. They have a lot of debt, but they have assets that back that debt, and that's equipment. And they have good cash flow. The other one does not.
Well, I know, Erica, you commented that you felt the one that was deep in debt was not worthy of, because we're going to end up basically waiting in line probably to get paid back that loan because they're so deep in debt. That's not been a major criteria as to how indebted they are, but I understand the logic.
For excessive loans, we did say we could make decisions like that.
So it was close to, if I remember correctly, it was close to $250,000, and it's a type of business that is not in high demand right now. And even though they've had years that they're not liquid, so we can lay no claim to their equipment because that's been collateralized already for those debts. And so we'll just be, it's just like tossing the money into the wind. We can maybe really help out several other businesses. And I think that more businesses will apply once they saw this loan process and all of the documentation that they need. They're getting that together and they'll be ready to go for round 2 and round 3. So, I mean, my thought is to, we don't want to throw good money after bad, number 1. Number 2, we want to try to help to lift up as many people in the community as we can, as opposed to just the few that asked first. Those are my thoughts on all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this business was 40,000 net loss last year in a normal good year. I didn't hear you, Erica.
You're muted.
That was just me speaking with this is what I do all day, just make faces at the camera. Yes. Yeah, I think that I mean, I don't know. I don't see that there is any possibility that they will survive with that kind of indebtedness and loss of revenue. And we would be giving them money. It might feel really good, but it's not coming back, and it's not going to help other people in the future.
Well, we can't deny them what they've asked for because we did not put credit worthiness or income as any part of the criteria, but we can say we're only going to give you the max that we calculated, which was $12,500. So
we do have the right to reject if we decide it's not in the best interest of the local government.
I would say that. I feel bad for the person. This business has been in business for a long time, but I just don't see how they can dig out.
Yeah, from what I'm hearing, I don't think it is in the best interest of the JDA to fund a business that's so hemorrhaging.
Now, but Dan, you say that, and I did not dig into the financials of every other business that applied because it wasn't something that I had to look at because they weren't asking for more than they could. So I haven't applied that same aggressive investigation to any other business except that one because they asked for so much.
Well, you can make a case for if you're going to do due diligence for one, we should do due diligence for all. But on the other hand, they invited it and the others didn't.
Yeah.
And the fact is we've got actual knowledge of a situation. We can't turn a blind eye to a problem.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's not other problems in here that I just didn't inspect closely because we weren't doing it on credit worthiness.
I understand.
And if we deny this person, they are going to probably raise a stink. So that's going to be a discussion that somebody's going to have with them. And it could be me, but they're not going to be happy.
How much are they asking for?
Asked for 25. They're already going to get, I think, 4,900 in the grant. So the most they could get is 21 anyways. But I wouldn't give them more 12.5 if we have to give them anything.
Did they make a case?
Well, the case is that I'm losing bleeding money and I can't keep the doors open at this rate, which is not a good case to make.
You know, this goes back to our initial discussion that we're not a guarantor. Well, let me interrupt myself. Is there a loan or is this a grant?
This is this is the loan part.
All right. So we're not a guarantor of a loan. So it's not like we can't loan money unless we're 100% sure that we're going to get paid back, which is the attitude that some banks have, and maybe rightfully so. But on the other hand, we have to act prudently. I mean, there's a difference between not knowing whether something will get paid back or not and thinking that it won't.
Yeah. Well, we're just blind to this on all the other cases. I'll just say that. But you're right, they invited the scrutiny.
So, I mean, they would still be getting, if we give them the max and we never get paid back, we write it off, but it's money that won't help somebody in the future. The grant, on the other hand, this is what the grant is for, so they would be getting close to $17,000.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, it's like, it's not going to help them. They're in a hole. They're in a deep, deep hole. And it's sad. And I'm sad for them, but I'm just thinking that that's not good enough when you're dealing with people's money.
I'm of the same mind. I don't want to over facilitate being a sieve.
Yeah.
And just washing this cash down the drain.
Yeah, I guess the only question is there a significant risk for us, since we did not do diligence on everybody, that this one person would say, well, you didn't do that, so therefore you're not being fair to me.
Differently, yeah.
I think
wouldn't
we're
it
scrutinizing.
be similarly situated businesses? In other words, we would need to treat the businesses that ask for higher amounts than the max the same.
Which we did.
There were two, and Stephanie treated them the same with a similar level of scrutiny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well put, Ilka. Well put.
So are you saying, though, that we give them the max loan amount? Or
12.5 or nothing? Yeah, that's what the question is.
That's the question. We scrutinize them, and obviously, well.
But had they not asked that, we would be giving them 12.5 because I wouldn't have looked at any of it.
I think we situate them to the 12.5 because of exactly what you just described.
Yeah, that's what I think. At least they get something. They can't complain. They got the max, and we had denied their exception request.
I think
It makes sense to me.
All right, that sounds good to me. Let's consider that the decision of the JDA.
Okay, and then the other one, you saw that, Erica. They look fine to me, and it's a business that is prospering right now.
So what are we recommending giving them?
I say only 20 because they're getting a $4,900 grant, which would take them to $24,900, which is 100 under the 25 maximum of any business award. Right, Dan? That was the number we agreed on.
I think that's right.
Yeah, it is.
And they're healthy. It's a healthy business. They're not carrying a ton of debt. They were aligning themselves for major growth, and they're beginning to realize that now. I think that's what I saw.
Yeah, they got a bunch of new contracts in the early part of the year before March that they had to service. So they had to hire people, even though they couldn't get new business during this period of time. So they're going to have to catch up, but they're going to be fine. It's not an industry that goes out of business in Athens due to all the leaf blowers and lawn equipment that people need to use.
Maybe they want to hire some folks from our prior case.
Yeah.
And this actually it functions how I envisioned this to be. It was just sort of a little bridge that people could use to get past that dip that we experienced due to COVID. And so that seems to me in the spirit of this program. So
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm hearing that we're willing to give them $20,000 in loan plus the grant.
Right. Yes.
Is that the consensus of the group?
Mhm.
All right. Are there any other exception cases that we need to talk about, Stephanie?
Let me just glance without too
We
much.
need to talk about round 2 stuff, but we'll talk about that after we finish.
I think that's all we have to talk about on this. There's one other thing I wanted to bring up, and we have our rejection emails for the grant and the loan, which I'm going to send out using mail merge function, and David's doing the approvals with mail merge function. But we already know the reason why people were denied for the grant or the loan, and there's like a select number of reasons. So I would propose that in the email we say, you were not approved for the loan or the grant for the following reason. So just add that and then have it mail merge in the reason so that I don't get 180 emails about why. I'll just tell them ahead of time because that's what I'm going to tell them if they ask me. What do y'all think of that?
Just the facts, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Dan?
You know, there was it Grover Cleveland who said, no, it was Benjamin Disraeli, never complain, never explain. I'd almost, I mean, and this may just be me, I'd almost lean towards not giving an explanation. We've reviewed your application, given it serious consideration, regret that we're unable to make the award.
What we're trying to do is save Stephanie the headache of responding to their questioning of that they'll probably have of why didn't I get it. Well, eventually she could ignore them, or she could tell them what she's recommending putting in a letter. So it's a matter of saving Stephanie time.
I've spent so much time on this, I don't want to spend time answering those emails. And I like a transparent government. Tell them information that you have instead of making them pull it out of you. Freely available. It's not a problem to add it in. And it would save me the heartache of having to deal with all these individuals.
Or as many.
It's legally okay.
Well, I to the extent what I said was an objection, I withdraw it.
Okay.
All right, so the members are fine with adding the explanation in the rejection letters?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. And I will pass those by Ilka to make sure she approves of the language before it goes out.
I'm the diplomacy police, huh?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
All right. It's going back to the thing. I think we've covered the exceptions. I think the next thing is to discuss the future rounds, unless there's something else that I'm missing in between.
I don't think so.
Okay. We got criteria to talk about. One of the criteria, and I don't know, Kelly, if you want to chime in on this about women and minorities, and
yeah. So I had a few notes about future rounds, and this didn't come into play in this round, which was good. But I know one of the things that we have to be conscious of is the bonus points criteria, around women and minority-owned businesses, and so if we could just clean that up on the site and in the application next go round, I think that would be beneficial.
so we're removing those bonus points basically from, and the question to be asked: are you 50% woman or minority? Just take that out of the next round of applications, basically.
Right.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because
it's important to note that during this round we had sufficient funds, so everyone who was eligible received funds. So that was not utilized in round one.
Right, as a criteria. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anybody dissent to that?
Oh.
All right. The next thing about the next round is to talk about the size of the business. My recommendation is that we continue to allow 1 to 10, but we add 11 to 20. In other words, it's 1 to 20 is now our criteria for the next round. That will allow for businesses that had not applied. We could still get people under 10 and under, but we'd also get new businesses that are between 11 and 20.
And what about the nonprofits? We discussed that last time. Are we going to throw them in the pot? And is there a problem with that? Dan?
Not a problem except for sectarian. It's a policy decision whether to do it or not.
As long as it's non-religious, nonprofit.
Right, right.
Yeah, I think we pretty much spelled out in the first round that non-sectarian was a criteria.
Yeah, we'll just take out the word. We put for-profit, non-sectarian, so we'll take out the word for-profit.
Mayor Gertz, does that fit the sort of the vision of the mayor and commission since ACC provided the funds?
Well, I mean, other than opening up the Church of Kelly Gertz, I mean, I guess I think that's exactly what we intend. Yes.
Okay.
To allow for nonprofits that are
to allow for non-sectarian nonprofits.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. I'm fine with that. Does anybody else have any other comments about that? Is there any other changes? Are there any other changes to the criteria that we need to discuss before we go to the next round?
Criteria, no.
Okay, you had some things, and Ilka, you had the schedule. I can't bring it up because I can't share my screen, but also the timeline for the second round. That was in something I don't think you sent to everybody, but I don't think it's on the website either. So we need to look at that too. We need to look at our timeline for the next round.
Can y'all see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not very well.
It's small.
Hold on 1 second. I'll make it bigger.
With my old eyes.
How's that?
Cool.
Let me see if I can make it a little bigger. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
So here we are today. This is kind of through the first round. And then the proposed timeline would be October the 12th through the 26th. It's again 2 weeks. And this similar pattern over again in terms of reviewing the file, notifying applications, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. It's good to me.
Yeah, those dates look fine to me. Anybody see any problem with that? I'm not hearing any, so we can go ahead and plan on that as being our second round with the timetable that's listed there.
Okay.
At what point can I start preparing the website for round 2 so that it has proposed dates, like the open date and the closed date, but the application's not available, that whole thing?
Well, we've closed the first round. I don't see why we can't advert or announce, at least on the website, and then we'll follow up with public relations PR pieces about the second round. But I don't see any reason why we can't change the deadlines to the new round.
Okay, I'll start preparing it.
Anybody else see a problem with that? Not hearing any. We'll just go ahead and do that, Stephanie.
Oh. I said I didn't have anything about the eligibility requirements, which I don't, but I did want to propose on the loan documentation. We had asked them if they have an electronic accounting. If they said no, we asked them for the most recent business tax return and for them to self-report their second quarter 2020 revenue. The financial documents that I got from electronic accounting records were all over the board, wrong, right, in between. It was very difficult to find the magic needle that I was looking for in them. I even saw people put loan proceeds as income, so we had to back that out. I mean, there's all sorts of things. This time, I propose that we give no option for electronic accounting. We need your most recent business tax return, and we need your self-reported second quarter revenue. And then so what we did was we took their business income, their top level tax return, divided by 4 and got an average for the second quarter, compared it to their self-reported. What I'm going to have to do is explain to them needs to be included in income. And that means pull out any loan proceeds that you've accounted as income. That's not income. And kind of give them an explanation on what income is before expenses, before cost of goods sold, so that we're comparing apples to apples. That's all we can do without dealing with the craziness that I had to deal with on the most recent round. And it will save us so much time.
So you're saying it's 2019, basically Schedule C for their business.
Some have Schedule C, some have, it's all over the board because they're business structures.
Yeah, but 2019 is what I'm getting at. 2019 taxes, and then a statement, I guess, of their quarter two,
or just their top number. Like, just tell us how much revenue did you have in second quarter 2020. We can't ask for a document to back it up because the documents are just not good. From these, maybe the 11 to 20 businesses will be better, but all businesses, they were just not good. I didn't trust them.
Yeah, what if they're using like a QuickBooks, point of sale, kind of like that's pretty straightforward. They don't have that.
You would think. No, a lot of them did have that. Like I said, I started noticing accounts under income for like loans. Like, so I know their numbers are not good. Yeah,
okay.
It was craziness.
Question. Aren't some of our partners able to provide financial counseling services to these people?
If they ask. A lot of them don't think they need help because they have QuickBooks. It's kind of dangerous.
You have to take notice of the fact that I wonder how good the repayment prospects are from somebody who doesn't know what income is.
Dan, you were speaking my language, but we're just getting the information and making the best decisions we can with it. I think that's why I want to rely on the business tax return, because it has to be correct, because the CPA had to prepare it, which means they had to inspect the revenues and the expenses and make sure that it was all correct to the best of their knowledge. So at least we have that 1 year and we can rely on it. And then we explain to them, we have to see a 25% revenue loss. What was your total revenue? Because that's what we're going to compare it to, the total revenue on your tax return last year.
With the explanation of top level, not including cost of goods sold and expenses and all of that. I'm
going to say before any expenses are deducted, the total revenue that you receive for services or services rendered or products sold. That's as simple as you can say it. Every dollar that enters your account for your business, whatever your business does, that dollar amount. Hopefully that'll get the picture across. But ultimately, if their second quarter revenue using that average, dividing it by 4 for their last year is 100,000, and they tell us that they had 200,000 in revenue for second quarter 20, well, I'm sorry, there's not a 25% revenue loss there. And that is what happened on a lot of these applications. They had more money in the second quarter. But I'm wondering, because I didn't spell out about what revenue is, I'm wondering how many of those people included PPP loans in their mind of how much revenue they've got. Dan, I'm not kidding you.
No, you're not.
It's
Maybe
sad.
if it's a forgiven loan, it is income. I don't know.
Well, it is after second quarter. It wasn't before second quarter. You can only recognize it as income after it's been forgiven, and they don't know that.
You had to spend it for it to be forgiven. That was the thing.
That's right.
I'm in the farm business. It's causing me physical pain.
You have no idea. That whole thing was physically painful.
Remember, SBDC is headquartered here, so it seems like they may have some new clients.
I did have, how many Ilka? I don't know, 40 or so that said, yes, I need help. And I've given all those to Ilka for her to distribute to our business resources to say, pick some and help these people.
It was actually a huge list.
I can't remember.
I think 172.
So that's like more than half of our applicants.
we'll never be able to quantify this, but some of the public benefit coming out of this is getting those 40 people to people who can help them.
Yeah,
That may have saved businesses right there.
Yeah.
it may, but Ilka said it was like 170. I can't
It's
remember.
172, so it's a lot. So
Oh
what
my
I think I'm
God.
going to do is I have 11 volunteers. So what I think I'm going to do is try to split the list up and then try to maybe BCC, like split the list up into 11 equal groups and send an email that says you indicated on your application, here's a volunteer who can help you. Please reach out to them, because I don't think I can ask the volunteers to reach out to 15 or 20 businesses on their own, because many of them are kind of doing this out of the goodness. But I think that'll be a way to do it, where they're connected to one person instead of an entire list.
Sounds like my dog today.
Next time I'm bringing my poodle.
He was locked in the other room.
You did the right thing.
Sorry, he's good now.
We're dog people.
All right, so are we fine then with we talked about 2019 taxes and then second quarter income, and Stephanie can add some wording to explain better what that means.
Yeah. The bank is going to be so happy. We still have to get them. And I talked to Rhodes yesterday, and he was like, sure, we'll help you with the next round, but we have to make that formal, but they are willing to do it. And this will make their lives so much easier.
Why don't we get the contract signed while we're at it?
Oh, God. What's the holdup on it?
Well, apparently nobody's asked them to. I could do that tomorrow. I put a refreshed copy of the agreement at Ilka's suggestion in the Google Drive. Thoughtfully changed RFP to RFQ 2 places and updated the dates. So it's ready to be signed.
I mean, I can certainly sign our side of it. Then we'd have to get it to Rhodes and have him sign it, right?
Yeah, I dated it today, figuring that, we've already approved it, but today would be the kickoff. So it's dated September 24th.
All right. Well, if it's out, since it's out there, I will download it, sign where I need to. Does Tim need to attest to it, to that document?
It's not necessary for the legality. There's a provision for an attest and a seal, but it's not necessary for the legality of it.
Okay.
Once you sign it, if you send it, I can put the seal on it there for you.
Same thing true for the intergovernmental agreement, because we had an attestation for that, and Tim was going to sign that.
Yes, so that's all taken care of. The IGA, Tim, thanks to you and Tim, and it was very satisfying to put that stamp on there. It looked very official.
Okay. All right. Well, I will sign my half of it and scan it and email it back to Ilka, and she can get it to Rhodes.
Okay.
Get that in place.
Ilka, if something changes and you do need me, just let me know. I'll try to do it as quickly as I can.
Well, the thing, you live near me. I could actually bring it to you and have you sign in person.
Tim's got an official signature, an online signature now, so he could do it either way.
Okay.
Did you notice our seal is more impressive than the unified government seal?
Ooh, I want to see it.
Yeah, what's it look like?
Can you show it?
I think I have it. Hold on one sec.
I can email it to you if you like.
Now, I've actually got the printout of the IGA right here on my desk, so I can just hold it up in front of the screen.
See, the unified government just wants to look humble by comparison.
It's covered up your background.
Ah, man. How else can I do it?
Give me your background, and then it'll be.
Hold it in front of you, Ilka.
Closer.
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 Yeah, there's that.
I see it.
Hold on. I'll turn off my background.
Get rid of your background.
Yeah.
Turn off your background, and that'll take care of it.
No judging, Ilka. It's all right.
All right.
She's in the bathroom. It just keeps getting covered up because it's white, I think.
Ooh.
But
what
I can
you're
kind
trying
of
to
see
cover
it.
At
over.
myself.
There
Hold
we
on.
go.
There we go. Now do it.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, that is nice.
Right.
Thanks
All
to
right.
Jeanette,
So I can see the
George, and
Winterville.
Dan for finding us such a good seal.
Okay.
Jeanette gets
Right.
to
I think we've covered the seal of approval enough.
Doc, are you going to show us yours? Yours is even more impressive.
Nice.
Oh, that is
Dark black background. Ooh, it's
And
pretty.
it's got a graphic in the middle too.
Very
That's
cool.
nice. All right, step up the game.
Okay.
All right. So the imprimaturs have the imprimatur.
All right. I think we've covered everything on the old business section, unless somebody knows of something that needs to be addressed.
I wanted to bring y'all's attention to the link in the chat, and it's a map of every award that we gave in all of the counties, so you could see where they line up with the commission districts.
No, I don't see it.
It's in the chat window.
I'm
It's
in
at
the
very
chat.
top. Here, I'll paste it again.
Yeah, I see it.
Maybe. There it
Yeah.
is.
It's kind of neat to just see where things are sitting that are funded.
That is a great visual.
Yeah. And you can click on each one and it tells you who the business is, how much money they got. And that's probably public information, but if
Cool.
this map has not been advertised to anyone.
Way cool.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. Mine is taking forever to load. Oh,
That Google Maps feature is fantastic.
Yeah.
But back when I was working with high school kids, I would map kids' home addresses so they could help each other out and give each other rides, and it's
It's so
good
awesome.
stuff.
That is cool.
oh wow. Yeah.
So, is there any other old business that we need to address right now?
Nope.
All right. The only new agenda item that is on there is to elect a vice chair since that position is vacant. We talked about Erica serving in that role, unless one of our mayors wants to nominate themselves.
I can do it. My cross country season's almost over. I got.
Well,
Can you manage that one?
you only need to do something if I'm not available to do it. So that's a pretty easy. Okay.
I second Erica.
Okay, we got a nomination and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of Erica being the vice chair, raise your hand or say aye. She abstains.
Congratulations.
All right, it passes with one abstention.
Who abstained? Me.
You yourself.
Yeah, I didn't see you vote. So
Yes, I'll do. I can. Yes, I can do it.
congratulations. All right, that's all we
Who
have for
seconded?
new business.
Who seconded the motion? Sorry.
Who did it? Was that you, Kelly?
Kelly.
Kelly did, yeah. Yeah. All right, we're moving on to staff report. Ilka, do you have stuff to share with the group?
I do. I have a couple of really quick things. I talked with Stephanie a little bit. One thing that our finance department mentioned is that we'll need an annual external audit. So I would think that would end at the end of this fiscal year's when that'll be done. But I just wanted to put that on y'all's radar. Also finance related, we've got the banking instructions and I've put in the funds transfer request to Blaine Williams, the Unified Government Manager. So once I have approval with him, we're all set to transfer the funds over to the JDA's 2 new bank accounts. And big thank you to David and Stephanie for helping get those 2 accounts set up. Public officials insurance, our binder ends on the 26th, which is Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Mhm.
So I just had that like, whoo, this morning. And so I emailed Chastain and Associates to find out if we were supposed to receive other policy documents that indicate that the coverage is in place. I know that the payment has been made by the ACC Unified Government. So I know that payment has been made, but I haven't seen any other documents unless they came by mail, but we have someone from our team that checks our mailroom. So I'm hoping to hear back from Chastain and Associates on that piece. And then the next piece is just thinking about the collaboration between the JDA and the Northeast Georgia Business Alliance. I talked with Shane Blackwell, who's the chair of the Business Alliance, and asked him if he would be willing to share the list of applications they have so far, just to kind of see where our duplication is, because the businesses will have to decide on any approved grants and loans from the JDA prior to knowing whether they will be awarded a Northeast Georgia Business Alliance grant. So, ultimately the business will have to make that decision. But we're just kind of curious to see what the overlap might be, so the businesses know that they won't have perfect knowledge whether they'll have both offers. They'll have to make a decision by next Friday, which will be the 2nd for the
That's
JDA.
Monday. It's the Monday following.
It's Monday, October 5th at noon is our.
Okay.
We gave them a few extra
That's great.
days.
Okay.
Can I ask a question about that?
Mm.
Yes.
Thanks. So that is just for the grant portion of the money.
Right.
So they could take the loan from us and get the grant from NEGA.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there could be a scenario where they accept ours, but then they find out they get more from them, and they either have to, if they get the check already, they either have to give it back, or I don't know how that's going to work out. It's going to be kind of close timing in terms of decisions for the businesses to make, because we asked them to decide by October 5th at noon.
Mm-hmm.
And they close on the 30th, and there's still more things they go through before they award that. So anyway.
The good thing is, if they're not sure if they're going to get the other one, but they think they're going to get it, and they decline our money, then they find out they don't get the other one, they can still apply for our money again in the next round, which will be following very quickly. So they can still get money.
That's true.
Yeah. That's all the updates I have.
Okay. Dan, any updates from your end of the world?
A couple of quick things inspired by Ilka. On the auditors, they have to be appointed by the board. Do we have a candidate? Maybe it should be the same firm that does this, the Unified Governments audit. They've already
did that audit for a long time. Hasn't the
And
county
we've had
been
a long-term relationship.
Yeah, I think that's not a good idea to have someone that's just embedded in the county. I would like to have someone independent, honestly.
Part of what they do is describe the opportunity for a clean, unadulterated audit. So, I do know that several other local authorities use the same firm.
That's also a risk factor. I mean, with my MPA program, they're very specific that you should not use the same auditing firm for many, many, many years in a row.
That is a good point, and that's in the Wall Street Journal all the time. My point had to do with cost. Somebody who's already familiar would charge less, but there's nothing wrong with finding another auditor if the price is right.
Yeah, I mean, I just think we should consider that option.
Do we need
We
to go
don't
through
have
a
anything.
process? Do we need to go through an RFP process to hire the auditor?
There's not a legal requirement to do it. It's not a bad idea. My experience with that is the authority usually doesn't get a lot of proposals.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, you might turn up something we wouldn't otherwise turn up. So no harm in doing it. And it wouldn't be elaborate. To be a single page, probably.
The Upper Coney Water Basin Authority just changed auditors last year. So,
Okay.
glad to give you contact information for Unified Governments as well as the past and present for that authority.
We good.
But we have to have this in place by the end of the year. Is that what I'm hearing, Ilka?
Fiscal year.
I think it's a whole fiscal year, right? So it would be
June.
after June the 30th
Of next year.
of 2021. Mm-hmm.
Right. So we have plenty of time.
Yeah.
To identify.
I just wanted to raise it so y'all know it's on the radar.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Something we don't have to go working on right this minute.
Yeah.
Okay. What else, Dan?
Two more quick things having to do with approvals and kicking off round one. The unified government sending us the money would be the surest sign that our program documents have been approved. But Ilka, would you try to get Blaine to send an email or something with that so that we have it in the a record? Because that's an IGA requirement that he sign off on it. And I think he has, but just for the record. And
so what I did for the funds request is I created 2 forms that links the funds request back to the IGA, and I put a little signature line. So I think we'll have those back from him in a documented way.
That was clever. I like that. And maybe you can do the same thing with the bank, because remember, they're supposed to get a notice to proceed. And that can just be an email or something. This is per the IGA. This is your notice to proceed with round one. As simple as that.
So we don't have a notice to proceed, and we already have.
Well, I mean, the
We
bank
haven't sent out letters yet, but
Yeah. We're sending those tomorrow, though. Remember? Or can we?
I think it's okay if we get the IGA, the agreement with the bank signed and dated today, and a notice to proceed tomorrow. That's okay. I mean, they're not. I mean, in terms, have they been? What's the level of their involvement? Have they been doing stuff that's required by the agreement up to date? I know there's been a lot of interaction with them, but I don't know whether it's been formal or informal.
Oh, yeah, they've been working on it hard.
Yeah,
the last 2 weeks.
We've had video sessions with them to go over this process and the whole bit.
I'll talk to them every day.
I tell you what we can do then. I can change the IGA to have a date when all of that started. Remember, we approved it when that approving resolution was adopted, and I think we approved it in principle before that. So I'll look and see when the approving resolution was adopted and use that date, unless that's not far enough back. And then I'll modify the notice to proceed to say that it applies to subsequent rounds. I'll get that to you tomorrow morning.
Okay, that's something I need to sign and.
Well, the agreement, yes. I'll send to you. I'll put it on the drive, but I'll send to you directly and copy Ilka and Stephanie the revised agreement and show you the comparison.
Okay, so I need to hold off until I see something for you before I sign the.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can use the signature page, but I'd say yes, because if you signed it tonight, it would have today's date on it. And what I'm hearing is that we started performing it as of a prior date, so I'd want to put the prior date on the contract and just make the notice to proceed apply to subsequent rounds.
Okay.
Oh, and, Ilka, would you remind them are we going to get the applications manually signed?
They have an online system for signing their closing documents, the loans.
All right. But
we have signed.
We don't have anything that's been signed in an enforceable way yet.
Not in the loans. I mean, because they haven't closed yet. We have to get their agreement that they want the loan first.
Well, I guess I wouldn't worry too much about that because a note incorporates the program documents as loan documents. What we don't have is something where we have captured them making the certifications to us in the application. Let me look at that real quick. I think the note picks up the application also, so maybe we're already covered.
On the application, we have all those certifications, and they have to fill in their name saying they agree to them.
But are they doing it in a way that can be held to account for? That's my point.
We use the language that you gave us.
Did they sign something?
Well, it's not like they don't put their John Hancock on it, but they filled in their name that's saying it serves as a signature.
Let me just check the note real quick.
Do we capture those certifications, Stephanie, in the spreadsheet or?
Yeah, I mean, it's all captured. Yeah, it's execution and signature. It says enter your full name as signatory, and then you have to agree to all the terms. And they had to check all the boxes before it would let them submit the form.
All right, I think we're okay. The note picks up the application, it picks up the program documents, and we'd have to, I mean, if we ever felt like we'd been defrauded, we'd have to prove the application, but we could do that. So I think we can let it go.
Okay. All right, anything else, Dan?
That's it, sir.
Okay. Well, given there's nothing else, I'd like to put forth a motion to adjourn and start sending out letters tomorrow. Do I have a second to that?
Second.
I'll let Stephanie take that one. Sorry, Dodd. All right, all those in favor of adjourning, say aye or raise your hand, one of the both.
Sorry to interrupt, but we first need to do the meeting for the next one.
Yeah. Okay, yes, we do. Thank you. It's right there. You're right. Thank you. Well, according to the Ilka had that timeline. I think it's October 20 something, right, Ilka?
Let me go back to it real quick. So the 29th would be the next date. That will be the next date that we'll review a file, like the file of the approvals for round 2.
I don't think there's any other business we need in the meanwhile, right? So let's just plan on the 29th. What day is that? What day of the week is that?
I think it's a Thursday. Let me double check real quick.
All right.
I think I have my region meet that night. I'm not positive. I'll double check, but I may not be able to make it.
It is. It's a Thursday.
Okay. All right. So we just need to pick a time. When is this 5:30 to 7 o'clock workable for people, or do you want to meet earlier?
It works for me.
Fine.
All right. Let's just keep it from 5:30 to 7 on October 29th, and we'll be reviewing round 2.
Unlucky day.
Anything
That's
else
the
comes up?
anniversary of the Great Depression, the 29th.
Oh God.
I'll pass. All right. So we have our date set. I guess I put that in the form of a motion. Is there a second to that?
Second.
All right, Stephanie. All right, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay, that's where we're meeting. Now, may I bring back the motion to adjourn? It's already been seconded. It's just been set aside. All those in favor of adjourning, say or raise your hands. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you all for all your
Good night,
efforts.
everybody.
You.
Thank you guys for everything you've done.
Thanks.
Amazing. Great job.
All right.
I know.
See you later.
Right.